Greetings and salutations everyone, Alpha here. I'm going to be doing a review of a curious little server called Heroes WoW today. I've seen this one floating around for quite a while and it seems to be pretty popular, so I thought I would see what a fun server is all about. I truthfully had no idea what to expect since I tend to prefer the vanilla and Burning Crusade servers over Wrath of the Lich King, and I have had no experience on a fun server before. It actually took quite a bit to figure it out, so I'll be passing along some of that knowledge to any new players that might be considering joining this server. The thing that you're going to do when you load in is turn directly to your left. You're going to see a vendor that will give you a set of heavily modified tier 1 gear, some weapons, rings, necks. You can even get the full Death Knight starter set if you prefer. After that, you're going to head down and start an endless grind on what Heroes WoW calls the leveling road. There are going to be brackets of mobs all within 5 levels of each other, so you will need to keep progressing down, encountering different types of mobs and killing them as you go. Max levels can boost you through this, making it quicker. The ultimate goal is to reach the maximum level of 255. Every 50 levels you will be granted a new set of gear, which all you need to do is go grab. Each set will be a heavily modified version of tiers 1 through 6. Up until tier 5 is given to you along the road. However, to get to tier 6, you'll need to visit them all. I'll touch on that in a bit. The grind starts out pretty fast, but by the time you hit level 100, it's going to slow down drastically. However, there are some things that you can do to speed this up. As you are leveling, you will notice that some mobs will drop these clams. These are a useful currency exclusive to Heroes WoW, and can be traded in at Turk the Murloc for useful leveling gear. Clams can be traded for a neck, rings, trinkets, and even a tabard with useful stats to include experience boosts. Getting these items can seriously speed up your leveling experience. Clams can also be traded for minor Mog badges, which can be used to purchase gear. However, my experience is that the gear isn't really on par with the free tier gear you'll get, and it's mostly only used for cosmetic experiences. You will also encounter a couple of rare spawns along the way, and some boss mobs, which if killed will drop some useful gear that is a pretty significant upgrade. This was one of the most tedious leveling experiences I've ever done, and just being truthful, it was one of the most boring as well. It does need to be said though, that a small donation will allow you to skip the entire leveling experience, but this can cause some issues too if you're unfamiliar with the class, so I'd only recommend this if you've had plenty of experience playing the class you're playing. Once you hit level 255, you're going to want to grab your free set of tier 6, then start upgrading your gear. You will want to visit one of the Portal Tree Guardian guys and take a portal to Draktheron Keep. Don't worry, this instance is designed to be soloed. However, if you are worried about dying or feel that it's just a little too hard, I believe you can grab a partner and 2-man it very easy. The bosses inside have been adjusted to level 255 to provide a challenge, but only have about 90,000 health and are pretty easy to defeat. You will receive some adjusted tier 8.5 gear along with some of the tier 8.5 pieces. You would think that these pieces could simply be exchanged at the mall, but you would be dead wrong, so let me clear up some of the confusion. To hand in the tier pieces from Draktheron Keep, you are going to need to take a portal to Dalaran. Any of the Tree Guardians can port you there, and you can always hearth back. You have to pay close attention to the pieces that drop, since the item could be a modified version of any of the specs, and you will need to get the correct one, such as the Shadow piece or the Holy piece could drop for a priest. They're both 2 different items, so if you have a hard time exchanging, just look a little closer at the wording. Once you have a respectable set, you will notice that your spell power exponentially grows, and you will quickly top 100,000 spell power. This is where you run into scaling problems though. Things such as Flash Heal, Greater Heal, and Renew gain extra healing and damage based off the tremendous amount of spell power you have, but things like Holy Shield and Divine Prayer do not get that same boost. This can also be a problem on classes like Warriors, where abilities such as Rend and Deep Wounds gain a lot less since they are based on your weapon damage and not your total attack power. Classes such as Warlocks, however, become instantly overpowered because of the way haste mechanics work with their dots. Classes that are more reliant on crit are going to tend to fall behind. I was really excited to try out PvP since, at least in my mind, I could only think of how entertaining it would be to see all the classes that have 3 trees unlocked using all of their abilities at once. I planned on healing, so I thought it was going to be a blast. I will have both holy and discipline trees unlocked, so there's so much potential. But that excitement was short-lived, as I no sooner walked in than I was one-shot. Clearly my gear wasn't good enough, but I stuck with it long enough to get several pieces of the PvP gear and a bunch of the tier 8.5 gear. Surely this time would be different. Not so much. The problem is, even with a full set of welfare PvP gear, you sit at maybe 350,000 health. Some of the players you go against have well over 1.6 million health, putting you at a severe disadvantage, especially since donation gear gives you a serious advantage. This server appears heavily paid to win. I thought there were going to be a ton of people doing battlegrounds, but again, I was severely disappointed as we rarely had 10 people on each side doing Erethy Basin. The dungeon experience is an interesting take, but again, it just kind of felt boring and hollow. The progression chart is pretty easy to follow, with clear linear progression through various dungeons and raids, such as Obsidian Sanctum, Icecrown Citadel, Molten Core, and even Gruul's Lair. Each instance will drop a different tier set clearly laid out, and most can be done with a small to medium-sized party or raid group. I asked in World Chat, and was able to find a few other people interested in doing Obsidian Sanctum, who were able to easily 4-man the instance. Within a few minutes, I got about 4 upgrades out of it. Again, I found it very hollow. Heroes WoW does have some really creative and innovative things that I did think were kind of neat. The mall is one of those things. Inside the mall, you will find various vendors and trainers, the most useful of which are the mount vendors and the gym vendors. Mount training is free as long as you have the required level, and mounts can be purchased for anywhere between 1 gold and 100 gold, with some being, such as the Mammoth, being a bit more expensive. There are also some free mounts that you don't have to pay for as well. The gem vendors sell any epic gem your hearts can desire for a small price, and my personal experience, you should be gemming for a stat like haste or resilience, since the gems aren't really scaled like the gear. Other NPCs of interest in the mall include transmog vendors, guild creators, PvP vendors, donation vendors, and even PvP queue masters. Although, since you can queue for battlegrounds by clicking the H key, it still seems like kind of a silly point. Speaking of silly point, the mall also has class trainers, which seem to serve no purpose since you will learn all of your talents for free while leveling. They can also teach you dual spec, which again is kind of pointless since you will have more than enough points to unlock all 3 trees. Another interesting zone is the profession zone. You can learn 2 professions just like in retail, and all of the sub-professions such as first aid, fishing, and cooking. Gathering professions aren't recommended though, since not only does Heroes WoW not have a working auction house, but they provide you with material vendors right next to the trainers. I chose tailoring and inscription so that I could make my own glyphs, and there were a couple useful tailoring epics I was able to make, along with some larger bags as well. For the most part though, professions are pretty optional since, again, the enchants and gems aren't that scalable, so you won't really see that much use for them. You might be worried about making gold since there is no auction house. Don't be. Looting bodies in PvP can provide anywhere between 100 to 400 gold each, but even that is a bit of a waste of time. Under the Dungeon and Raid Finder, there is an option for a gold farming instance. The mobs inside have around 40,000 health each and can be easily killed. Each mob will drop between 1,000 and 3,000 gold, as well as a bag. The bag can contain gold, as well as some other minor items that can be vendored. I even opened one that had a 100,000 gold coin token inside, which can be bought or sold to keep you from hitting the gold cap, which I was able to do in about 2 minutes of farming inside. Voting and donations are both a big part of Heroes WoW. Voting will get you silver coins, and donation will get you gold coins, both of which can be used to purchase some seriously powerful gear. Gold coins can also be obtained through other means, such as time played. I played a total of 15 hours and was awarded a coin. It may be possible to use an anti-AFK bot to get gold coins, but I'm not sure if that violates the terms of service, so I would strongly recommend against it. Overall, Heroes WoW is pretty unique, offers some really interesting twists on the normal game, and provides some novelty that you might enjoy. My personal feelings, I found it kind of hollow and pointless, but if you love achievements, are willing to put in the time to get the best gear available, just want to see some old content in a different way, or want to quickly experience the old world raid bosses in a different way, this might be a server you might enjoy. My issue is, for me, if you can get so quickly to the in-game content and then get the gear, then what? Completing in-game at such a fast pace leaves you with nowhere to go and nothing to do. That being said, it is different. Sorry for the delay getting this one out, guys. I've been really busy the last month, but I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you all soon. Thanks a lot, Alpha.